Right, Sam, let's start with the front page of the FT. I think we've got it here. A potential pact, they say, between the Reform Party and Tories.
This is fascinating. I suspect we'll remember this story for some time to come. It's about one of the big questions in British politics. By the time of the next election, will the Tories and Reform still be fighting each other, or have come to some kind of understanding to try and stop Labour getting back into pat? This story says Nigel Farage has told his donors he expects a deal or a merger between Reform UK and the Tories before the next election. This is basically, in private, what seems to be an acknowledgement that maybe Reform UK can't go from 5 seats to an overall majority in the House of Commons just in one parliament, and what they might do to maximise the chance of Nigel Farage getting into number 10.
What is Farage actually saying, though? It says here that he dismisses it.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting how Nigel Farage's response to all of this has developed over the last 18 hours or so. He initially plays it down and then sort of rejects some of the premises of the story. I'd never do a deal with a party I don't trust. That's not quite categorical. No deals, just a reverse takeover. That's an interesting phrase. You can't want to fully understand. A deal with them as they are would cost us votes. As they are. That's interesting. But as the hours went on last night, it's interesting, Nigel Farage hardened his response. Look at how he responded on social media after this. This is a full story in the FT tonight, claiming Reform would do a deal with the Tories. I think I can understand why the response got testier as time went on. And that's because implicit in this discussion is an acknowledgement that Nigel Farage's Reform UK might not go all the way in the next general election and win outright. And no party really wants to ever acknowledge that.
Let's have a look, shall we, at the polls, because this tells us everything we need to know about the arithmetic, right?
Yeah, so if they don't want to acknowledge it publicly, the polling helps us understand what's going on. This is the last polling projection that we did from YouGov in September. Look, Reform UK did brilliantly compared to the 5 MPs at the moment, 311. You've got Labour on 144, Lib Dems up, Tories on 45. That's a massive collapse. But here's the critical thing. In order to win an outright majority in the House of Commons, you need 324 seats or more. And look, you can see 326 seats or more. And you can see Reform are short. In fact, quite a long way short. It takes the Tories to get them over the winning line. So Reform, at this point in the Parliament, pretty much a high watermark in their polling, and they're still not quite there. So I think that's the reason why, not in public, but in private, this discussion may well have started.
And just to be clear, you know, when we talk about these pacts, we talk about something before the election, not a coalition after.
The job at the moment is to make sure Reform UK, from their point of view, and the Tories get as many seats as possible to stop Labour getting back into Downing Street after the next election. So, yes, this is a pre-election discussion.
And what about the Conservatives?
Well, it takes two to tango, doesn't it? And Kemi Badenoch's been absolutely clear that she doesn't want to see any kind of deal or pact with Reform UK. But there are others who appear to be most open. And we were, back in April, given a leaked recording of Robert Jenrick, Shadow Justice Secretary, one-time Tory leadership contender, and his private comments at a dinner with young Conservatives, where he was much more open to some kind of arrangement to stop the two parties on the right fighting at the next election. Now, this is the recording from a private dinner. The audio quality is quite bad, so you have to listen closely, but they're important words. Listen to this.
You head towards a general election where the nightmare scenario is that PS are on a sale bid through the middle as a result of the two parties being disunited down. I don't know about you, but I'm not prepared for that to happen. I want right to be united. And so one way or another, I'm determined to do that and to bring this coalition together.
So that's what you're saying in private. What about in public?
I caught up with Robert Jenrick at the Tory conference in October. Now, listen to how he leaves open the question of what they should do.
Look, Kemi has been very clear, as in fact has Nigel Farage, that we're not in the business of pacts and deals.
But what about you?
I don't think there's going to be a deal, and I don't think that's the right approach.
Do you think you don't think it's...
No. What we've got to do as a party is change. We've got to learn the lessons of the past. We let people down when we were in office.
You would never support a pact of any sort.
Look, that is not our priority. That's not a priority.
It's interesting. That's not a total shutdown, is it? Where do you think this leaves us?
Well, so long as the polling leaves Reform short of a clear overall majority, these discussions are going to be mooted and the party members want it. So I think it'll be driven by donors. The FT is definitely in the right territory to be asking them. We'll see what happens over the coming months.